It says I'm live. What's going on, y'all? Good morning. Welcome to this episode of Kings Speak, an interview series where we get the opportunity to hear from king level men who are growing through things. They have transformative information to share. They're powerful. And we want to hear about things from a man's perspective when it comes to conversations that we're not having often, like, why do you guys cheat? And did you learn emotional intelligence? And how do you feel about being vulnerable? All of these things are so important to the experience of a man as well. We want to make sure that we tap in, learn, grow, understand, and evolve. So I'm so glad you guys are tuned in here today because we have an amazing guest. This episode is titled My Ex's Son. Why? Because this is a very unique situation where a good man that I know, who's going to be joining us in a moment, was dating a woman that had a son, and him and the woman broke up, but he decided to remain a father figure to the child, even though it's biologically not his child. So he definitely believes in mentorship, leadership, the role of a Black father and a Black man in community. And we just want to dive in and talk to him more. I don't know if you guys are in a similar situation, or women. I don't know, women that are tuned in. I don't know if you're meeting men who are in a similar situation and you're wondering, why is he taking care of and committed to this child that's not his? And now he's connected to his ex-girlfriend. Do they have something going on? So it gets really complicated, but it's real life. So we're going to be talking with my special guest, rapper OSO California. We're just waiting for him to get up in here. Right, Sunny, Rose, welcome to the chat. Isn't that interesting? I thought it would be an amazing topic because I do know people, like I have friends who, have dated men who have relationships with their exes, kids. And I don't think it's a terrible, it can be a lot. So we're going to dive in and see what this man's perspective is. Let's see. I don't see him in here yet. Let's see if I can get him on real quick. In the meanwhile, Sunny Rose, I'm glad you tuned in. I sent you an email. Okay. Oh, so we got him. Yeah.
Hello, hello.
Hey.
How's it going?
It's going great. Oh, so California.
How you doing today?
I'm good. Nice to see you. This is my rendition of Bright and Early. So good morning. Well, so glad to have you on the show. I gave you a quick introduction, but for just, kind of like your story, a little bit of background. So for those of you who don't know who you are personally and what you do, why don't you just let us know real quick?
My name is Oso California. I am a rapper out of Long Beach, California. Also a recording artist, entertainer, and all around general good guy.
Yeah, you are. I love it. So I was very intrigued by your story. And actually, I had to add in some extra questions for you because people that knew I was doing this interview was like, "Ooh, ask them this." Because believe it or not, you're not the only one that goes through this type of thing. It's more common than you think. So I definitely want to talk about it because maybe you have insight to offer that will help someone. So let's dive in.
Awesome.
So I prefaced the audience. I let them know about, the amazing situation that you're in. So let's talk about it. You were in a relationship with a woman who had a son. You took on the responsibility of that young boy's father, role model, mentor, the whole nine. And although you and your ex-girlfriend are no longer together, you still are in this child's life. So let's talk about what made you decide to assume the role of father to your ex-girlfriend's child, even after you broke up.
Well, I mean, it started before we broke up, obviously.
Mm-hmm.
And it just kind of, it's weird because all I remember is like, you start, you meet someone and, you start getting to know them and you learn things about them and stuff. And as I got to know her, of course, we're talking about her children or her child. She has a son. And, when you first come into that situation as a man meeting a woman and, she has kids, it's like, this is uncharted territory, especially if you don't already have kids for yourself. So you kind of like, okay, how do I fit into this picture? And the number one thing that just stood out was like, oh man, this boy needs some discipline.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. It can't. And he's a great kid, love him to death, but it was just a lack of male energy, father energy, and overall you could tell that he just needed that guiding, because he didn't have it. It wasn't there. So when you come into that situation, there's a decision to be made, like a real life decision. And it's like, okay, am I here, is this some temporary thing right now, or am I here to stay? And originally, I was definitely there to stay. I was with his mom for over a year, and we were, working at our relationship. Unfortunately, things didn't work out, in the long run. But even after the fact, it was like, we already got over a year of time in. The bond is crazy between me and him. Like, he's my biggest fan. I'm his hero. He's my little guy. He's the son that I don't have. So it just, once you get into that realm and you actually are going through it, that's a decision that has to be made. And even after we broke up, it was just more so, now do I walk out of his life? You know what I mean? Like, do I walk out of his life because I'm no longer with his mother romantically? And that was a hard decision, but I committed myself to that decision that, hey, as long as I'm around and I can be present, then I'll be present, and I've been present ever since. I met him when he was 4 years old. He's 8 now.
Aw. Well, I just have to say thank you for doing that, because it does matter. And I know it has to come with a lot of different trials and challenges. I couldn't imagine putting myself in the same position, nor have I had to. So it's very interesting. So what does your ex-girlfriend think about this situation? How does she feel about it?
We've talked about it a lot over time, and her main concern is that he has somebody in his life. His dad's just not in his life. So we felt that we filled the gap, and we decided that we would co-parent despite not being, in a relationship. And it works, but it's an unusual situation, to say the least, and I didn't know how crazy it was really gonna get, but I'm pretty flexible, so it's like I work well within it, whereas sometimes it's not always seen as the best thing when, now moving forward, when you're dating and meeting newer people and stuff, and then they ask you, hey, do you have kids? And then I say, I don't have any kids of my own, but
right.
But I am in the life of, one of my ex's sons, and we have a very strong bond, so that gets a little iffy sometimes.
Yeah, I was like, how's that mulling over in the dating world? Tell me about an example. Like, what are women saying to you, and what challenges is it presenting, if any?
Let me tell you this. So when I first meet someone and we're talking, you know how it goes. Nowadays we're in this online dating arena.
Yes.
So you meet people online, you kind of check them out and see what they're, do they have kids, and et cetera, all these things. So when they ask me that and I explain to them, they go, their first reaction is, oh, wow, that's really like nice of you. Like, I can't believe, wow, they go, that's incredible. Right. But as we start to get to know each other a little bit more, and then we might, start taking things to another level, it becomes an issue.
Yeah.
And it's strange because I kind of look at it, this is just how my mind works, but I kind of look at it like, well, what if I really did have a son? like if I really had a son, this is no different. And you would have to accept that the same way that men have to accept women and their kids if we want to be in that particular woman's life and she has children. So I just kind of go like, oh, that's a weird little double standard. Like, but, there we go. So
Yeah, I mean, I get it. So in the chat, Sunny Rose said, "Thank you for loving that little boy beyond your relationship with his mom." It really is a commendable thing. But I get it. To be honest, from the lens, if it was me on the outside, I would wonder the same thing just in my mind, like, okay, what made him. I guess I can see it's a sweet thing to do. It's a good thing to do. It's the kind of thing that you want people to do, even to do more of, because obviously you saw the need for this boy to have, the boy needs a father, especially if his is not around. 4, 5, 6, 8 years old, like, these are very transformative and powerful years, especially in school discipline. It shapes their details, everything like that. But I guess I can see how someone is like, well, if it's not biologically yours, why do you want to stay connected to maybe this woman and her son, as opposed to just seeing the child that has the need? So
yeah.
what are some of the layers and reasons that you decided to take on the responsibility? If he's not biologically yours, like, how far does that go? Are you going to be paying for college, or is this more of just a conversational thing? Like,
Well,
what was the what was the reasoning for you?
yeah, so it's definitely as time goes by, as he gets older, a lot of things change. We start to discuss, you know, more future things. But I mean, since the day that I've been there, like I was hands on. I was picking up and dropping off from school, on occasion. Basketball games, football games, coaching the basketball team, and we won that year, so that was great. We actually
Oh,
won, and just everything that comes with that. Teaching him how to ride his bike. When I taught him that, it was an incredible moment for me personally, because
yeah,
you know that's just something that you can't buy. That's something
yeah,
you can't buy, is like
right,
having that experience. And one of the main reasons why I decided to stick around and be there, if you believe in any type of, um, calling or destiny, anything like that, any type of spiritual like belief system like that. When I look at my own personal life, and I was raised without a father myself, um, I think back to those days, and I think back to being a young boy who really longed for that. And shoot, at that point, anybody, would have been, great, because it was just the lack of male energy in your life, where you were just like, as a kid, it's confusing, you just around your mom and other women all the time. And, you see other kids with their dad, and you go, where's my dad? You know? And those are the type of emotions and things that led me to say, I don't want him to have to go through that. If I can do anything about it, he won't have to go through that, because that's tough. And it's really important. Unfortunately, things happen. Sometimes people have children and the relationship doesn't work out, and whatever the case. But the fact of the matter is, these boys that they need men in their life. You can't just take us out of the equation. They need good men. They need strong leadership, role models, mentors, father figures. They need male energy, and they need positive influences to look at and say, okay, this is somebody that I can model myself after. This is somebody that is giving me a blueprint, that's setting things up for me. And yeah, it's a big responsibility. And I don't take it lightly, but I just try to work it within the confines of, separating my personal life from that life. But it's not much separation, because it's, the only thing that I'll say that uh I'm not as hands-on as I was, because in the like recent years, I had to take more of a step back, just because, you have to also give room for, I have to give, his mom room to, if she finds somebody else, to cultivate that relationship. And if she chooses to, introduce him to somebody else, those are the things I have to accept. Now, again, growing up without a dad is it's it's very common, but it shouldn't be normal. As far as I'm concerned, it shouldn't be the
I
normal.
I agree with you 1,000,000%. We have got to get away from, everybody's like, we got to normalize this, that, and the other. We need to normalize having a father in the home. It's common, but not normal. Like you said, it
Yeah.
definitely would be preferred that there's a man in the home, especially, not even especially for a boy or girl. It don't even matter.
It don't matter, they need little girls need good male figures just as well. It's a lot of women out there that suffer, that I've spoke to personally, that have suffered from lack of fathers, having a
Yeah.
father in their life. The relationship with their own biological father, especially if he walked out, what they say, the first, person that teaches a girl, a young woman how to love is their dad.
Yeah.
And if he's not there to show her, be an example with her mom and to her, then she could grow up with a very, very distorted outlook on love and relationships. And that's what we're trying to prevent if we can. I mean, we're growing up in a new generation. We got a lot of stuff going on. We need strong, we need strong Black men and women, out here healed, from emotional trauma, child trauma, abuse, all these things, and we really need to kind of come up out of that as a people, so we can do that. It's gonna take some work and it's gonna take a little sacrifice, but but
I
the bigger
mean,
picture.
yes.
Hmm.
No, keep going. The bigger picture.
Oh yeah, but the bigger picture is just that overall view is that if you can be something in somebody's life, you should. You really should, and it's rewarding in itself. It's rewarding in itself just to have those moments of uh, when you teach them how to ride their bike, and now they're like, it's like that moment of seeing them have a little bit more independence. All of a sudden, they just grew up a little bit more because when they couldn't walk, now they're running. When they couldn't run, now they're riding bikes and skateboards and stuff. So it's moments like that I feel like any father, if you miss out on those moments, I mean, I think you're probably gonna regret it. Especially if you have your own kids and you're not around. And here's the thing: this is a very imagine all the fathers that are not in their child's life because the relationship didn't work with the mom. I mean, obviously, you don't. Obviously, if you see a man like myself though, who's doing that, and I don't, and it's not my child, and I don't no longer have a romantic relationship with the mom. So what's the issue here? Why can't men be parents regardless of this situation, regardless of what happens in a relationship? It's not always going to work out. Hopefully, you work at it. Hopefully, you put in the time and the effort and the energy. If you got to go to counseling, you do those things. You explore those options, to work things out. But in the event that you can't, you can still be there. You should still be there. And that's just my personal opinion. So that's something that I would like to, one day when I have my own kids, I want to make sure, that that's the example that's set for them. They see that dad is there. I want to be with the person that I have children with. That's why I'm very careful about that. But I
Yeah.
want to be with that person. I definitely have been careful and not, this thus far to not have kids. If I wasn't ready or me and that person weren't, where we needed to be to really establish that we're not married. And I've never been married, so these are all things that you just have to consider. And yeah, I know it can be a lot, but I'm fine.
You know what? It's just so beautiful, everything that you shared, because you're kind of the ideal example of what men should and could be. Because that's what this show is about. King Speak was really about having conversations with, people we consider king level men. And when you're able to understand the need over your desire or your wants, like you said, something about sacrifice and just showing up and being responsible, like those types of things are not the fun things all the time. It's not always easy. There's challenges that come with making decisions like the ones that you're making. However, in the grand scheme of things, imagine if more men thought that way, because really we've we've got a lot going on when it comes to the Black Lives Matter movement and police brutality. As African American people, we're feeling a lot in a lot of different places, but on that list is fatherless homes. So imagine if so many more men were willing to see the value and the beauty of not only fatherhood, but community, and even the women, even for women to encounter somebody like you, to know. Because I have single girlfriends with kids, and sometimes they're worried they won't find a man at all because they have a kid by somebody else, or they might have two kids by two people and afraid, but the reality is it's our job as adults to raise up responsible, healthy, amazing children that don't have to heal from their childhood. Like, if we could just be there and adopt a mentality, and invite in that sacrifice that yields the more beautiful things, like being able to teach him how to ride a bike and seeing him grow and gain independence. He's going to remember that when he's 25, 30, he's going to be like, man, I was on my bike. Oh, so that is beautiful how you've woven your way into the situation. So, and then we have a question in the chat too. So what does he call you? Like, does he call you dad or
Daddy? Yeah.
daddy?
Daddy.
Okay.
Daddy all day.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm gonna have to sit with this when I get off with you, because I really love what it is that you're doing. And you spoke about it just a little bit, but I was gonna ask you, so how has the relationship changed between you and him, especially since you and the mom aren't together? Like, has it weakened? Is it more consistent? Do you guys have more of a friendship, mentor type thing, or is it straight up like, this is dad?
Well, that's where things get sometimes, they get a little iffy, like a little confusing, just because we need to know, like, we both want to know what is best for him.
Yeah.
And we don't always have that answer right on hand. Something like, I've asked myself, these are real questions that I've asked myself, like, do I, is it best for me to just kind of take a step back to allow something else to happen, or do I stay present so that, again, because the thing is that I don't want to disappoint.
Oh, it's okay.
I don't want to, my back? Okay.
Yeah, no, I got you. You don't want to disappoint him.
Yeah, I don't want to disappoint him, and I don't want to hurt him, and I don't want him to ask those questions like, why does daddy not, why isn't he around? Why doesn't he care? Why doesn't he love me? I don't want him to ask those questions. So I make sure that he knows, I make sure that he knows despite anything. And with his mom, we have a great friendship. We have I think that's another thing that could get a little difficult, because it's really hard, apparently, for women to understand that it's a friendship, and that we have grown past that point, of romanticism. Like, when you talk about what we don't engage and this and that and the other, it's not that type of situation, so it's like, if I go over to spend time with him, like, I'm not in her face, worried about what she has going on and stuff like that. Like, it's about him. It's his time, it's his time to have time with me, because that's what he craves. He calls me up and he's like, daddy, like, where you at? Like, and I have to tell him all the time, like, I'm in the studio right now, dad is, moving around, I'm on set shooting videos, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm working, but when I get some time, I'm gonna tap in with you, and I'm gonna come check you out. We're gonna go play basketball, we're gonna go to the park and play football, we go to the beach, we go to San Diego to the zoo. Like, I have to make time for him when I can, so that he doesn't feel that void. And like I said, and I'll do that until something else, happens, where I either don't, I'm faced with a choice, and I told her this, we had this conversation, but I said, one thing I can't do is, like, I can't fight you for your son in that sense. Like, I'm not, like, I don't want to be baby daddy and I don't want to be treated like that. Like, I don't want to be like, have that type of relationship dynamic. Like, there's this negative connotation amongst, us when it comes to baby mama and baby daddy, and, really, it's a negative connotation. So I don't want it to go there. I just want to be helpful. You know, I want to be helpful. I want to continue to create memories with him. I want to continue to guide him as much as I can. And I just want him to know that he's loved. That's, you know, that's what it comes down to.
Yeah, you know, that's such a beautiful thing. And I could definitely see, just speaking as a woman on the other side of things, I could see how it could be challenging. Because if it was me dating you, I'd be like, we get concerned about the woman. But I think that being able to really express yourself like you just did now, it's really nothing of a blessing. Like, I'm hoping that the next woman you go for will understand the beauty and value in that, because that also tells her, when, you know, when I have a child, or when we do this, or it speaks of your heart posture. And
Mm.
so that's nothing that you want to sleep on because of the minute details. Like, there's going to have to be some trust at some point where it's like, this is a good man who believes in doing the right thing, and then pairing up with a woman who believes in doing the right thing too, because the value that you're providing is just like, I hope God blesses you like a billionfold. Like, and I'm glad that we're doing this interview, um, because I want people to see and hear this, because this is the type of thing that changes the world. Yes, it's protesting. Yes, it's, you know, making this amount of money, doing the, you know what I'm saying? It's all the things, but this is what it's about. This is what life is about. So yeah, they need to put your name in lights somewhere for this. So I was going to ask you, and you talked a little bit about it. So the decision to kind of take this on, you spoke about you not having a father and what that kind of did to you. So do you feel like this was a decision made out of like love, guilt, shame, abandonment, necessity? Like, where do you think the root of it was for you in your personal life?
Oh, I know exactly what the root was. It was for me, like I said, growing up without a father. And then I was also adopted by my aunt.
Okay.
I was adopted by my biological aunt, and she took me in though when, you know, when things were, I mean, she had me since the day I was out the hospital, like fresh out the hospital. And when I look back on my life and the memories and the things that, regardless of me not having a father, I look at the fact that somebody took me in and somebody raised me and somebody gave me love. And that was the thing. I learned everything I know about love from my mom, because she gave me so much when I didn't have anything. And yeah, definitely that was the motivation, because I felt like if anybody could do it, I could do it, because it was like, that was how, you know what I mean? That was how I came up. And, you know, it was almost like something coming full circle, because it was like, here's an opportunity now. And what would you do? You know what I mean? When faced with this situation. And it was kind of like, okay, because I had dated women with children before, and I had pretty much, pretty much prepared myself for what would come with that if it got really serious. Now, this was the first time with the woman that had kids that it really got serious.
Right.
So I did what, you know, when it came down to it, I was like, yeah, this is, I have the heart space for it. You know, that's exactly what it was. I was like, I can do this. And, you know, 4 years later, here we are.
Here we are. Do you believe in God?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay,
Absolutely.
yeah. This is definitely like a God orchestrated thing.
Yeah.
Like, talk
And
about full circle.
and that's what I try to explain to women. I'm like, I don't know, you know, I'm like, you have to understand, you know, where I came from and what, you know, the things that happened in my life that shaped me into this person, you know, that would do this, you know. So when you hear like, what, you raising somebody else's son, and you get the thoughts of, you know, okay, are you sleeping with his mom? Are you guys messing around? What's the situation? It's like, it's just bigger than that. It's way bigger than that, you
It's
know.
way bigger than that. And,
Way
you know,
bigger.
unfortunately, all the men that are operating on a lower frequency mess up the minds of the collective woman. Because it is sometimes like, oh yeah, what's up with that? It definitely is more about the woman than it is the child, because it's like, I don't know. There's so many other things going on. People's minds, people, it's almost like now we have a hard time wrapping our mind around somebody that is good, because there's been so much infidelity, triflingness, the tug of war that goes on between men and women and their emotion and their hearts these days. It's not good. You know, a lot of us are out here getting just straight up damaged, and you know, it's time to start approaching these things differently, with, you know, more love and more space, and from a more community as it's just, the love has to be the root of things. But I guess I can understand why you're coming across people who are like, it's just,
I mean, you know, and like I said, it's weird because it starts off really good. You know, they're like, that is the sweetest thing. And then,
right.
And then when I say, oh, I'm going to go hang out with him today, it's like,
You're like, him where? You're like,
what, is she going to be there?
You picking him up? Y'all one happy family? What is going on?
Right. And I'm just like, I'm just going to spend time with my son. You know?
Yeah.
And that's, like I said, and that's how I have to approach it. You know, like I have to, and like I said, there was definitely different approaches. So like I'd get to this point where, like, there was a point where I was like straight up and down, like, you know, this is my son. There was that time, and then there was that moment too when I also was like, okay, I don't have kids of my own, so I'm trying to explain the situation before, you know, give them the context. But when they ask the question, you know, it's like, you got to understand what it is. And I feel like I do a good job of explaining that and trying to reassure, because women, we know y'all need reassurance. You know what I mean? We know y'all need to feel secure, comfortable, and, you know, and feel like you can trust somebody. So I try to, you know, make room for that. Unfortunately, it does not always work out that way. It just doesn't.
Yeah. And you know what? That's okay, because it's not working out. Maybe it's a sort of protection for you, because there really needs to be someone in alignment with you that has a heart that can understand the way you operate, because there's just going to be more things that come up and more life that goes on, where accepting the way you do things is just going to be like, you just, maybe you're being protected. You know, every woman ain't for you, every man ain't for, you know what I mean? So it's okay if you're explaining this and it's not working out, then that's better for you and, you know, the child. So, oh, here we had somebody in the question. So, a question in the chat from Sunny Rose. What do your male friends say about your convictions? Do they frown upon it? Do they encourage it? Do they aspire to do it? Do they think you're crazy? I added that.
Yeah. My male friends are like, whenever I explain the situation to people my age and stuff, they go, "You a better man than me."
Yeah. That's exactly a damn shame, but it's the truth.
They be like, "You a better man than me, man." Like, they be like, "For real?" Like that, like that. And then when they hear the depths of it too, when I explain it, they go, "For real?" And then they go, "You ain't messing with his mom."
Oh my God. You see? It's like, what?
Right. Nobody can accept that. Like, nobody
No.
can. Yeah, they just can't accept that part. And like I said, I think that's so weird that we see something like that and we can't accept it for what it is. Like, we can't accept the goodness, but we can accept all the, you know, like the dirtiest stuff, you know, like the most scandalous things. We could be like, oh, we're on board with that somehow. Like, you know, nowadays, this world, we're like, we want to, you know, argue everything that's wrong should be right. You know what I mean? We're 2020 and we still fighting against racism and oppression in this country. Who would have thought? You know what I mean? So as far as things like that, yeah, I've had friends that have, I mean, older, when I spoke to older men, they go like, oh, that's, you know, they can more understand because they might have gone through a similar situation. Yeah, I don't think I have too many friends. I probably have like one. No, I have two. My best friend, and then I have another friend who definitely is in the life of a child that's not his. and they have their relationship, so we kind of bond on that a little bit because we know what that's like. When my best friend got married this past September, he has a child from a previous relationship, she has a child from a previous relationship, but they come together, they blended their family, and it's a beautiful thing because nobody is losing. Nobody's missing out on having two parents. You know what I mean? And again, that's what we really need. We need to have more of an understanding that even if you aren't physically in the home, that should be the goal. That should really be the goal. We don't want
Goals.
we don't want splintered families, and I'm over here and you over there with two kids, but you got to still rely on me to be the man in your life. And I heard this back in like 2012. He gets a lot of flack, but are you familiar with Dr. Umar Johnson?
I'm not actually.
Okay, he's a school psychologist, a clinical psychologist, and he's anybody wants to look up Dr. Umar Johnson, they can, and they can make their own assessment of him. But I learned a lot from his mentorship in the way that he guides young black people, and the type of existence he wants to foster for us. So back in like 2012, probably something like that, I remember watching videos, and he would make this comment where he would say, at some point, us men, especially black men, we are going to have to assume the role of responsibility for children that are not ours. And
Wow.
coincidentally, that was 2012. That was when Noah, that's his name, my son.
I love that name. If I ever had a boy, that's like Noah is gonna be his name. I love it. It's such a peaceful, soft, kind, loving name. I love that.
Yeah. So Noah, he it's like he needs a full-time, he needs full-time, everything, like and again, so having the father in the home is the goal. If you can, before you have children with someone, make sure that's the person you want to be with. Make sure
It
that's
could
the
all
person
be so simple.
it could all be so simple. And as men, we have to really, it goes both ways. There's definitely a responsibility and accountability on women. I want to make that clear. There's a responsibility and accountability. Choose better partners, choose better men, choose men that have shown you that they will be around, as opposed to have just said they will be around. And same goes for us. Choose wisely the people that we give ourselves to and share ourselves to. Choose wisely the women that we have unprotected sex with, that we, may have a child with, if you're engaged with that. And, we've all been there. We've all probably had some situations, but it's just about being aware, being aware and knowing what you're getting yourself into before you get into it. So you don't have this situation, this little, now it's just chaos and dad's here, mom's here, child's missing out, he's losing, he's losing his that innocence in his formative years because his heart is broken, her heart is broken. And that's what happens to kids that we have to really look at. Like, we have to guard their hearts just as much as we guard ours. And I think his mom does a really good job of that. His mom is on it. Like, she's a great mom. She's a great woman. She's really, I had to tip my hat to all women, to all single mothers. I have to tip my hat because I seen what level, like how hard y'all go, like how hard women will go for their children and like to make sure that they live the best possible life. But again, keep that same energy when you choosing the man.
It's true.
Yeah, keep that same energy when you choosing a man, because you want a certain type of man that is going to stick around, that's going to be a positive influence. And people could debate about what a positive influence is, but like some people say, well, like, you're a rapper and stuff like this, like your life is kind of crazy. Yeah, but that has nothing to do with the way that I parent. Like, it has absolutely, my entertainment, what I do there has absolutely nothing to do with how I parent. I parent like a strict, a strict parent. Like, I'm really serious about following rules and discipline, and setting examples and, you know, really making sure that, hey, you understand too. That's the thing. These kids can't run us. Like they can't be walking
That
around.
part.
Yeah, they can't be walking
These little
around like
2020 kids.
yeah, ruling the world. Just got mom just all a wreck. Got her a wreck in the grocery
Yes.
store.
Yes. Seriously. And you come in
You
with
know?
that daddy game, because everything you
Yeah.
said, that's what my dad brought to my life, the structure, the discipline, the, you know, all of the things that you were saying, the following the rules. I got that from my dad. Like he was
Mhm.
there, he was relentless, and he was not playing about
Yeah.
his daughters like at all. And it was very beautiful and beneficial. So since you brought up dating, and I agree with you, I'll just say it in my words. I think we're doing a very poor choice qualifying mates. I don't even think we know what it takes to qualify a healthy partner. And when I say, I even talk, you know, about myself, I had to learn and go through so much trial and error to even understand what it takes to qualify a quality partner for me. So what do you think is missing out here in these streets? What are we missing?
If you ask me, I think we're just missing. I think, you know, and it's interesting because definitely when you are in relationships and stuff, I'm very like tapped in. I'm very tuned in. So it's like for me, sometimes I notice like, yeah, like, oh, we're not on the same page. Like we're not on the same like wavelength right now. Like your focus is, you know, your focus might be having fun and living it up, and you know, it's all this party, it's having fun, you know, it's hot girl stuff, it's hot girl shit. That might be the concern, and you know, for me, it's just really, really important to, like I said, let someone know that there is something good out here in the world. Like, you know, there are people who care. There are still people who do things selflessly and want to only see other people win and do better. And that's kind of me. So I think what we're missing in the streets is just we're missing some type of level of real communication and I think intimacy where we can come to each other where we are. We can really, you know, we can get past the surface level things of just like, oh, where do you work at, and you know, like what you
What do
know,
you do? You know, all of
yeah,
the, yeah,
these surface level things. It's like we have to get to the heart of the matter. We have to be listening.
the heart of the matter, and we have to be listening. Those two
Yeah.
things right there. We're not
Mm.
getting to the heart of the matter. And
Yeah.
you mentioned intimacy. It requires intimacy and vulnerability to do that.
Yeah. Definitely.
I don't even
Absolutely.
know if we know what we need these days. We're so just distracted, and you know, it's
Yeah.
shifted with Corona, but even having these conversations with men or just the spiritual work I do on myself,
Mm-hmm.
and having had come a long way, I'm like, yeah, I didn't know this 10 years ago. So here we are, you
Exactly.
know.
Exactly. And like I said, yeah, really just get into that heart of the matter and really listening. So when I say listening, I mean like, you know, there's such a just common state of like people only listening to respond. They're not really listening to hear and to, you know, take it in and digest it, break it down, you know, assimilate it. It's not really what's happening. You know, a lot of times we just waiting for our next response to somebody. So we're not really hearing them. So I think when we're forming these relationships with people, it's like you really just have to and then here's a problem with that is everybody not being honest out there. So
You better
that's the
say it
other
again.
thing. Yeah, we gotta be a little bit more honest with each other about what we want, what we need, who we are, you know, our experiences, because I really find that more often than not, and I think I do a pretty good job vetting, but I still come across where I, you know, I end up saying, damn, I didn't know that person at all.
We are on the same page. I told somebody I was inspired to do this because, you know, I meet great people. I don't think I do a good job vetting. I always think I do, but then I'm like, wow, I didn't see that coming. But that's part of the reason why I'm inspired to have these conversations, because I'm not one of those people that think all men are dogs or black men can't get it together. These men are this. I don't think that way. I can clearly
Right.
see I'm dealing, right. I'm dealing with people who have good hearts. They're sweet. They're cool. They have purpose and drive and all of these things. I meet great men, but I can just see the confusion, the lostness, the brokenness, and the childhood trauma that doesn't get taken care of. And that's the part that women can't carry. So
Yeah.
it's like, you know, we spoke about going into a relationship and displaying honesty about what we need, but if we don't treat ourselves like that and we don't ask ourselves what we need and nurture, you know what I mean? We
Yeah.
don't have no clue, especially as men, because y'all ain't learning emotional intelligence. Like y'all are told not to cry and we're told to let it out. So we're already on these different pages as it is. You guys are suppressing and we're emoting.
Yeah.
And you know, now we're at the space where we're supposed to have a conversation and nobody's equipped. So I'm hoping women that watch this kind of understand the mind of a man just a little bit more, like understand they were raised different, understand their needs are different, understand, you know, and all these things, so we can approach it differently. And then vice versa, having men open up a little bit more about the heart space, because you guys are so sweet and cute out there, but it's just like, oh my God, there's like all these other things going on.
It's a lot of distractions.
Like, Lord help us.
No, don't forget to vote in November.
Yeah. Why are you running? You should be. No.
Oh man, you know, no, not right now at this time.
Not yet. Not yet.
Yeah, not at this time. It's a circus.
Yeah, you ain't never lied. And that is a whole nother thing. And another reason why it's so good to have leadership and mentorship. So let's talk about the power of mentorship and showing a young Black boy your presence in his life. You
Mm-hmm.
spoke a little bit about it, but like over the grand scheme of things, how do you see the power in that with what you're bringing to the table?
I see growth. Because from the kid he was when I met him at 4 to the kid he is today at 8. I mean, I've watched him grow. I've watched him change. I've watched him learn. I'm just like, I've seen everything go from this point to this point. So, and I was very tapped into it. I was paying attention. I was like, oh man, like, okay, this is where we at today. Okay. So, for me, you know, it just being a mentor, like I say, whether you want to call me his father or not, or if you want to say I'm more of a father figure or a mentor, like whatever you want to kind of label it as. I mean, again, the need is there. There are so many lost kids, you know, that have no idea. You know, they don't know what love looks like because they might not have seen it in the home. They are incomplete because they are missing one or the other. You know, they're missing something that is very critical. You know, like they're missing the balance that is supposed to be had between all of us. You know, they're missing that. And again, if you grow up in a house where you don't see anybody love each other and you don't see anybody, you know, you don't know what that is, you can't go out into the world and emulate it. You know, you have to experience it firsthand. And I think it's going to be incredible for him in the long run because he's already a kid with the biggest heart. He's a sweetheart. So now maybe, you know, maybe with just that little bit of influence, he'll be an even greater man one day. And that's my hopes for him, is that he'll become a great man, that he'll be the man in another woman's life that she'll find safety in, you know, and security in, that she'll say, you know, I love the way that you were raised. You know, I love the way that even though you didn't have your real father in your life, you had a stepdad who took an interest, who was concerned, and he built into you, you know, these same kind of standards and things such as that. So I just think it's important because we have to set examples. You know, they don't do what we say; they do what they see. You know, so we could tell them one time, you know what I mean? Like, oh, you know, be good and do your work and be respectful, respect those. We could tell them that one time, but it's consistently over time that habits are developed, you know, and that's all it is. It's habits, you know.
Yeah, choice, decisions and habits. And when you were talking, something that was popping up in my spirit, thinking about your son, is you've given him an opportunity to feel worthy of love. Because when you deal with abandonment, or why there's abandonment, it doesn't just come from parents, it's all over. But when you feel abandoned, especially as a child by an adult, you start to think, what did I do? Am I worth love? Blah, blah, blah. And when you have that fracture on your identity and your value and your worth, you go out there and you are unconsciously treating other people in a wrong way of some sort, however it pours out of you. So I feel like your presence definitely will keep him from just this gaping unworthiness feel in his soul, which is wildly valuable. Okay.
That's, like I said, that's what I care about.
Yeah.
Because I understand that. Like, so that's the responsibility that's on me, is that I just don't want him to feel that. And if it ever comes to a point where, again, where I have to take more of a back seat, I'll do that, as long as I'm comfortable and she's comfortable that he's in good hands.
Right.
I can let him, I can let him grow without my influence. But if it's accepted and it's welcome, then I'm there. And hopefully hopefully for myself, the woman that I decide to be with she'll be on board, that she'll understand, and she'll say, hey, this isn't hurting me. This isn't affecting our relationship or our time. It's not cutting into anything. He's not, I know, I trust him. Hopefully that will be the woman that, one day I end up with, who will understand, like, oh, like, you really about something. Like, and that's what I'm looking for when it comes to me, dating. It's like, I'm looking for somebody who can see me, who can understand and see, the man that I am. And I'm not perfect, I'm definitely far from perfect, but it's like, but I'm a good person. So
yeah,
I'm just living my life,
Right. All right, ladies, he's single. What's your Instagram? No, I mean, if you got the heart for it, you got the heart space, ladies. Can you deal? Okay.
Can you deal?
Can you deal?
Can you take me as I am?
Right. Are you mature?
Because that's the thing that's interesting, though. And that's the weird thing where I talked about a little bit about the double standard, though.
About it.
There are women who expect a man to come into their lives and take care of 1, 2, 3 children. You know what I mean? Like, they don't count me out. Don't count me out just because I got some kids, y'all.
Right, right.
And understandably so, because we don't want, why should they feel left out and unworthy of love and a great relationship and a great man just because they have children already? Of course, it's up to a man to choose. Does he want to date a woman with children? Does he not want to date a woman with children? And vice versa. But don't have that double standard, because we all know that if you had children, you would want any man that came into your life to accept them. And you will want that man, and you will want to know that man is not holding it against you. So that's why I say, I'm like, why can't they just act like I just really have a son? Like, if I really had a son, you could not have me without him. He would come with me. You know what I mean? Like, so it's like, I think that's just an important thing that they kind of wrap their minds around. But I think it's so different. It's so, it's just a little like, what? Like, so I think it's hard to wrap the mind around a little bit.
I think it is. And I really hope that with all of this shifting, and obviously we can all tell something new is here. And I'm hoping that with conversations like this and conversations that I see others having, that we can start to strip away the narratives that don't serve us anymore. Because at the end of the day, I feel like these were narratives that we were fed. A lot of the discord that we experience between men and women or in our communities are coming from ideas that we didn't create ourselves. You know what I mean? It's like there's all these ideas. So hopefully we can get, like, we said, back to the heart of things and put love back into the conversation. Because if you think about it, especially in the Black community, if we want to be out here talking about, if you are going to go in the street and talk about Black Lives Matter and be upset about cops, then you got to also care about who's fathering these kids. It has to be the love, the fight, the need, the action has to be there for it all.
It has to start at home. It has to
Right.
start in the home. Like that's where quality people are made. You know, they're
Man.
made in the home. I mean, it's some through life experience as well, but that again, that's where it starts. You know, the biggest indication of who somebody is going to be and who they become is going to be how they grew up. So again, it's just important. Yeah, if you care about Black lives, if you care, you know, if you're about that movement, it definitely starts with doing the groundwork, you know, to fix your own home first. Fix your own home, create love there, create examples there, and then go out as a family and show by example so that other people can get on board, you know what I mean? And hopefully one day, you know, this is my dream is that one day, whether we are an independent nation of Black people, or we still messing with America now.
I mean,
still messing with America now. You know, with Donald and them or whoever.
Right.
You know, hopefully we will get to a point where we start to see a real change in our entire culture. You know, before. And I don't want to. I was getting ready to say that, but I don't want to give like credence to that narrative of if you want, you know, if you want to say Black Lives Matter, but really, if you really care about Black Lives Matter and you're gonna do something differently, you're gonna do some things differently in your home to make sure to embody that, you know, and I believe that. But you know, that's a story for another day. People will hopefully when they hear this, they'll learn that. Hey, there's some other ways to do things out here, you know, and if anything we know about Black people is we's creative.
Ain't we though?
Creative.
We're gonna make it work, you know,
Yeah.
and that's a beautiful thing. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, it's Black excellence. Like we are so creative, we're so strong, we're resilient, we're flexible. We've been through a lot. We are a great and amazing people. So you have to have pride in yourself. You have to have pride in your Blackness, in your African, you know, heritage, your roots. You know, we gotta have that in order to really display the love, you know, that we're supposed to see. And again, maybe the world will start to see us just a little bit differently once we are upholding some of these values a little bit more. Because if they see we don't care about it, why would they? You know what I mean?
No, that's what it is. I mean, that's how the Jewish community functions. Before any of them kids leave the house, it's like when you leave, you're repping me. So
exactly.
Take that with you in the pocket and see what happens. You know, I need you to, and that's how I felt when I'm still that way. I'm a super grown woman, and before I do anything, I think about what would my daddy think. So I was definitely raised to like not be out here like that.
I think he'd be proud. He'd be proud of you for opening up, you know, having a forum like this one to, like you said, to talk to people and touch people and to be able to affect change. That's what these type of conversations and things do. So I think he'd be very proud, you know, of some of the decisions that you're making and how you're moving, you know. And that's the goal too. Like you want to be the type of parent who smiles when they think about the things that their child is doing, you know what I mean? And again, you're like, I created this person and they out here, you know what I mean? They really doing it. Like there's something to be proud of. That's what we all need, you know?
Yes, absolutely. I agree 1,000,000%. And I've enjoyed this conversation so much. Before we get out of here, I have one question. Oh, and thank you, you know, for the compliment.
No
and yes. So my last question for you, and you answered it some, but maybe just, you know, a little takeaway or a bullet pointed. What are some ways that men can show up in leadership in the Black community? Maybe it's not exactly the way you did it. Maybe it's you know, but what are some ways for any man watching that they can just show up and give a part of themselves to be a part of change?
You can get, first, one of the things you can do is you can devote some of your time. You know, if you have, you know, we have time to do, I mean, and it's kind of different with quarantine and Corona out here, you know, sweeping the nation, but there's definitely something to be said about how you spend your time or what time you do have. You know, if you spend some time and you get involved, you're already going to make a difference. You're gonna, you know, and hopefully a positive one, because you can make a negative one too if you're not careful and you're not, you know, knowing yourself. But you're gonna make some type of change. You're gonna create some type of change in that person's world just by showing up, just by being there first. You can do that by, you know, you can go to the park and you can be shooting around with your kid or something like that, or you can be by yourself, but then you can see some kids, and as long as it's not, you know, I mean, you know, gotta be careful if you're approaching any type of kids, but
Yeah.
you know, just saying, like, but you can throw the ball to them, you know what I mean? You can throw the ball around with them and get a game, get a couple kids together, and say, hey, like, let's play a game. I'm a quarterback, and I'm, you know, y'all do y'all thing, you know what I mean? Because what's gonna happen is they're gonna take away from that situation. That was really cool. That was fun. You know, and it's going to be a memory. And then, you know, whether they have a father figure or not, they're going to go home and say, you know, Dad, I was at the park and there was this guy who he just played with us. Like, he just, you know, him and his son played with us. Like, I did that one day. I went to the park with Noah and we were playing catching football, and there was some other kids, and they were just like, they're just standing there just kind of watching, like, oh, you know, so I said, hey, you guys want to play? And then they was right over there, and you know, now he had some friends, and we was throwing the ball around, and everybody had a good time. So that's one way. Yeah, definitely mentorship. So now that's taking it to like the next kind of phase. It's like being proactive in their life, seeing the need where the need is. You know, maybe they have some discipline issues, maybe they have some emotional issues, maybe they just need to understand a little bit more about respect. Maybe, you know, especially if they're not respecting their mother, which is that, and like I said, that was the thing for me that I couldn't do. Like, I couldn't watch a young boy be disrespectful to his mom. Like, you know, I thought about all those times my mom said, you being disrespectful. And I was like, nah, like, you ain't gonna be that. Like, you ain't gonna do that. Like, we can't have that. She do too much. Like, she does too much for you. She sacrifices more than you'll ever know. So you're not gonna disrespect her. Like, you can't, you know what I mean? And again, that's gonna benefit him down the line when he's dating. Now he's gonna see a woman, a young girl, and he's gonna say, I gotta respect her because, you know, she's a woman. She, you know, I know what a woman is. What a woman is. You know, I have my mom to look at it as an example, and I have my dad to look at how he treated my mom and the way that he respected her, for him to now again go and emulate that and, you know, kind of build his life around that belief system too. So there's mentorship, like I said, just getting involved, taking some time out, to go just a little bit further. You know what I mean? Like I said, it's more than just like giving some advice sometimes. I mean, but you can do that too. Sometimes you can see a kid and you can see that they need some guidance, and you can just give them a little advice. You know, maybe they'll take it, maybe they won't, but you did your part. If you got involved, you know, you did your part to make the whole world a better place if you got involved. You know, there's programs like that still present today. They have Big Brother programs. They have, you know, Boys and Girls Club programs and things like that. So there are people out here who want to make those changes. And let's see, what's another way? Again, another way is going to be the examples that you set, because over time they're going to, again, the things that they see are going to be the things that they go ahead and emulate. So it's just the reality. If they see people dysfunctional, they might be a little dysfunctional because that's what they know. It's what they learn. So
right.
if you know, they just have to see better examples. You know, more loving situations. They have to see us loving on each other a little bit more. We can't have this. I gotta urge this. We can't have this in this world. Black men, black women, we cannot afford to be against each other. We cannot afford to be against each other. And that's very, very important. We can't be up on Instagram arguing back and forth about what women do, what men do, men ain't shit, women ain't, like, that's not going to get us where we kind of go. That's not the vehicle. That's a vehicle to nowhere. So we have to just love each other, and we have to really support each other. I love how women support each other. I love when I see women support each other. Black men, we got to do the same thing. We got to do the same thing. We got to support each other. It's okay. Like, it's okay. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? It's okay to want to see somebody else win and for them to do so and for them to shine. It's just too much out here. It's too much opportunity. It's too much money. We gotta like stop the hate. You know what I mean? And these are the things again that our kids will then learn and take away from our situation. So when they go into the world, they just are overall better equipped to deal with it. It's not easy for them. So they need all the tools. They need all
I'm
the
telling
tools.
you. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
those were great things. So, spending your time talking to children, you can get involved by just involving them in whatever you're doing, a game, whatever it is. You could dive all the way into mentorship, and you can also make sure that you're actively carrying the weight of responsibility as an adult that comes with being on this planet to show examples of not only loving on others and women and your friends and yourself and just life in general, because yes, the kids are watching and they're going to emulate. So if we don't want to see something crazy, we're going to have
Yeah.
to just be aware of what we're putting out there and be okay with just giving a little bit more time. Because like you said, it could be a full-on mentorship program, or it could be you at the park with your boys playing ball. You see some kids y'all want to play. An hour of your time, you were playing ball anyway, just brightened up this child's day where you just never know. I've been able to smile at somebody and change their day. So imagine if a conversation or a hug or a little ball pass or whatever it's going to be, you
Yeah.
just never know. So being aware, in that awareness and the mindfulness of our responsibilities as adults would just be a beautiful thing. And like you said, women, we have it. This again, I did King Speak because I used to work with women, mostly like healing spaces, intuitive life coach, all of this stuff. And then my guy friends would hit me up like, well, when are y'all gonna do something for us? And I was like, yeah. So it's like, there's men that are, yeah, when you gonna do something for us? Because we have that. We have sister circles. We be in church, the Bible. We be under the moon. We got crystal water. We go in. Okay, we going in over here. But
Hopefully this could be an avenue for men to, reach out to one another and to cooperate and build from there. Like that's what is the possibilities that are open to us when we do things like this. So I gotta
yes,
commend you again. You're breaking some ground here.
yes, let's get it all together because
Peace,
the
King
goal is,
Speak.
yes, harmonious relationships between men and women. We need it, dating or
Yeah,
not. We just need to be harmoniously understanding each other because it's gonna be the answer. Okay.
yeah, yeah. And I just want to answer this question because I thought about it. Yeah, I definitely would pay for college if Lord willing, that I'm able and I'm in that position. That's what I strive for. That's what I work hard for. So I don't have, again, money is just money. It's a
It's a
tool to
tool.
be used. Yeah. So as long as Lord willing that I'm able to do that and assume that responsibility, you know what I mean, without sitting myself for the crazy debt, you know what I mean.
Yeah.
I have no problem with that. And I have a question for you. I actually have a question
Oh,
for you because
sure.
yeah. So this is the type of person that I am, though. I always would, I would talk to his mother, and we would talk about things, and I'd say, I want you guys to have a bigger place. I want you guys to have a bigger place with, like a backyard where he can run around, he can play, he can do his thing. Have a pet, big dog that, of his choosing, all these things that I want to have. And I don't mind providing those things if I'm able to provide those things. Now, do you think that is crossing a line when when you're dating, you have a relationship? Like, how would you feel about that, or how you think women will respond to that? Because my thing is, if it doesn't take away from anything that's going on over here, what's the issue?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I'm glad you asked because I have no problem being 100% candid about the situation. I know personally, because I don't have kids, I'm probably, but I'm loving and giving and open, and I'm obviously a natural nurturer and all these things. But I do have to admit there is a selfishness a little bit in me where, because I'm single and I haven't had somebody to love on me for myself, it would be a challenge for me to get with someone who I would never want to feel like I'm missing out or things are being taken away from me because there's all these other people involved. And I've been in a situation like that, and this wasn't the right man, and it just didn't work out. But the way he was handling things, balancing his two baby mamas and his two different children in two different states, I'm competing with yo mom, yo sister, baby number one, baby mama number two, and two kids. So you got six people, and I'm supposed to feel like somebody's queen. That's challenging. It's challenging to say, oh, if nothing's being taken out from over here, reality is it's like it is. So I think that there's a healthy balance as long as the person that, because it's also like this. He didn't really play his card right. And I'm just talking about this particular person as an example. But for somebody who can really step up to the plate and make in my opinion, I believe that the man and the woman, especially if you're going to get married to this woman or whatever, that's the priority. Because if you guys can't get it together, anything that falls under you is not going to be okay. That includes Noah and whoever y'all decide to bring into the picture. So as long as there's an understanding and you're making the space to hear your woman, find out what bothers her, but make that conscious effort to put her first, and it should be okay to make her a priority without that doesn't take away from the kid. So because I'm single, I'm looking at it like, yes, the children are a priority, but that little boy gonna be grown in 10 years. 10 years is nothing for an adult. Okay. So is me and you gonna be good in 10 years, or did you spend that whole time putting out for everyone because I'm supposed to understand, and now we have a relationship that we need to fix? Child is gone. He got his own girlfriend. Couldn't have been all about the kid the whole time. You got to have something with your mate. So I believe there's a healthy balance, and it's just understanding and communication. But if you're capable of, putting your woman first and collectively prioritizing the child, I think it would be just fine.
And that's
provide.
That's the goal. And that's the goal, to create the balance. So, obviously myself being in that situation, I want to create balance so that my woman feels great. She feels good. She feels taken care of. She feels loved. She feels, appreciated, doted on, all those things. But it doesn't have anything to do with, again, me being something bigger than just being about myself. Because I can be, and I want my own happiness too. So that's where I get a little bit more selfish myself, because I'm like, I gotta be happy too. Like, I don't want anything to come between me and my queen. You know what I mean? So it's like I have to know that she's okay, and I have to find that balance. And I think that if that's achievable, I think it is. It just has to be done very openly, very honestly, and with somebody who's ready to trust and love. You know what I mean? Like, it's got to be like that. Anything else, it won't work.
Yeah, and you have the capacity to do it, and I love that. You do have to be selfish because you do have to be happy. So I'm so glad that you said that and you're aware of it, because I do believe there's a lot of men that are out here doing what they think they need to do, and they're miserable. And then now you have suicidal thoughts, or you're not performing well in certain areas, or divorce. There's all of these negative and ugly things that come out of the honest thing. Oh, I thought I was doing what was right for my family, but it's like you didn't prioritize your happiness. So you didn't communicate that. You didn't create the foundation of your new relationship with the reality of what makes you happy and the bigger picture and the vision that you're seeing. So if you're stifling parts of, because even going back to the guy I was just telling you about, at the very instance we first started dating, he wasn't honest about having kids because it's been a problem in the past. But it's like, okay, so you're just not going to share that. You're not going to give me a fair chance to decide whether I'm into that. And then you're not going to give the biggest part of your world an opportunity to be received properly because you're afraid of, so you have to be very clear about what your vision for the future looks like and be selfish about it. If a million girls ain't the one, then girl million and one is just going to have to be it. And I think the same thing for myself. I don't compromise anymore. And I'm very real about what I can do, what I can't, what I can work, so I think you have the tools in your toolbox to just make it work. And there'll be some difficulties, but that's life. It's going to be difficult anyway. It might as well be difficult with the love and the unit and so it'll work out. It'll be the right woman, and you'll know because her vision will match yours. Like, she'll be able to complement the vision that you have and that you're honest about. It'll become second nature. Maybe she's the type of girl who's like, oh my God, like I've always wanted to adopt, or whatever, It'll be, the more authentic you are, it'll come. And I believe the same thing for myself. So you got this. Amen. She gonna be all right. Just, if you buy the boy the dog, and she want a dog too, then you buying 2 dogs that month.
Hey, that's what I signed up for, huh?
And it's all good. Everybody, it sounds like a beautiful thing. Everybody get a dog. Nobody's left out.
Hey, that's the goal, man. That's the goal.
Yeah. That is hilarious. And you do have good energy, because I remember how I met you. I think it was a party full of, like, there was hundreds of people around. I was like, I'm just going to go talk to him. This guy looks nice. I just floated over there.
Kind of just popped up out of nowhere.
I did. I was like, oh, it must have been an energy thing, because, there's hundreds of people there, but I was like, oh, this guy seems nice.
Good time.
Yeah, that's so awesome. Gosh, I miss going out.
Yeah, right? I could go for one of those events right now.
God. Oh, especially on this hot day, just to be on a rooftop somewhere sounds like heaven.
So disrespectful this sun is.
So disrespectful. Well, I really love this. I can't wait to share. Do you hear all this crackling? Okay, there we go. I can't wait to share this, and I just really appreciate you coming on and being transparent and sharing your story. Let me see if I take this out, it will help. Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's a little crackly, but it's all right.
Okay, well, we're wrapping up. It's just so crackly in my ears, but yeah, thank you for sharing, for being transparent. Thank you for being who you are. It's very valuable. Don't change for anyone. And I just, anybody watching, we can keep you and your family in our prayers, and just continue to do all the things, because king level man, this is a man. There's a difference. Males look to be served. Men look to serve.
There we go.
That's it. That is it. And it's a big responsibility, but you're equipped to handle it. So keep doing your thing. I can't wait to see what comes from your journey, and how everything unfolds and what God wants to do in your life.
Yeah, awesome. I appreciate you letting me come on. Hopefully we'll be able to speak again. This was fun though, but yeah. I had a good time.
Absolutely. And so, do you have any projects or anything we can keep up with, or we can follow you on Instagram at OSO CALI4NIA, right?
Yeah, all one word. You can follow me on Instagram at OSO CALI4NIA. That's OSOCALI4NIA. Right now, I do have a couple projects. I just released a single. Actually, I know WAP is pretty big right now, but I released a single it's very empowering for women. I wanted to speak to my love for women, and Black women in particular. So I released a song in June called Still Rose. And it's a really nice song, very uplifting and positive. So, if you guys want to check that out, it's on all major streaming platforms. I appreciate it. Drop a comment, something. Let me know, subscribe, and let me know what you think.
I love it. We'll definitely be checking in for that. And thank you for this time today. We'll definitely keep in touch. And yeah, you have an amazing rest of your day.
You too. I will.
Thank you so much. You're the best.
Thank you. I'll see you later.
All right. Bye-bye. All right, you guys, that was so special and amazing, wasn't it? I absolutely loved doing this episode. It was just so full of value. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. I love Kings Speak. If you're still in here, that means you do too. Please stay tuned. I'm always putting out alerts for new shows coming up. We have The Power of Preparation coming up with Nate Harris. He's going to tell us all about the way a man thinks and what he should be thinking about if he's preparing to get married. And we have some other stuff coming up, great interviews and conversations. So don't forget to follow Kings Speak on Instagram, and we'll see you again soon. Peace.